Hey everybody, what's up? It's NihonTiger. How you doing? Today I kind of wanted to do something a little bit different here. I haven't tried this before, but I thought I might give you a little bit of a sneak peek. Now, as some of you know, I recently did the intro for WMC Season 22, and it is some pretty good intro. It's one of my favorites, if not my favorite right now. But I've never really showed off a lot of the stuff that goes into the back end of it. And there's a lot that I kind of want to walk through with some of you guys. So if you've never seen what goes into a UHC intro or an intro in general, boy, you've got something fun here I'm going to talk a little bit about. So let's flip on over and take a look at the actual intro itself. Alright, so what you're taking a look at it right now is the actual Adobe Premiere file that I have for the intro. Everything is still loaded in here. I haven't deleted anything out of my archive yet. And the important thing to note is that I don't have After Effects because of the fact that Adobe is really like stupid with their way they've got everything set up, and I'm not going to pay $80 a month for it or whatever the price is per year. It's ridiculous. All that bundling and content stuff that they have now, but that's for another video. Anyways, what I wanted to talk a little bit about is that I've got everything here that I've done, and it's all hand animated, I guess you could say. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to put all this through. Every single little bit has to be done piece by piece. And let me just you kind of see a little bit here. We've got there's the audio track down there, all of the video, which is actually all the different slides, more of the slides, more of the slides. All this is like overlays set up into different video tracks. You can see there's like 9 or 10 video tracks here. So let's zoom in here. Oh, not quite that, but we'll zoom in here. We'll take a look at some of the things and there you go. Give you a little bit of a closer peek here at all of what goes into a UHC intro. It's a lot of stuff. So one of the things that's important to know is that the final product is not the final product. This usually takes a couple of weeks to get figured out, and I'm usually in contact with Fairy and with the rest of the WMC crew. In this case, for this intro, that would be the case. If it was for another group or another event, I would be in contact with them just to go over things, make sure that the process is going along neatly, and if they have any suggestions for me, I usually will go ahead and take those suggestions, see if I can work them in, see if they notice anything that maybe my eyes don't see. It's always better to have a second set of eyes. And as you take a look in the background right now while I'm talking, you can see some of the past intro renders that I did, and you can kind of get an idea that for each pass, I begin to add more and more things, more automation, more kind of animation to the whole thing here. So you start off building a basic template, and then you can kind of work from that to refine it and add in details, figure out what needs to be added, what doesn't need to be added. And it's a fairly long process, longer than you might think. It's not that simple and that easy, especially when you're doing everything by hand and not relying on After Effects or a similar program in order to do that. I'll kind of show some examples here of some of the animation stuff that goes into making a really cool intro. Alright, so we're here at the start, and you can take a look and see that the bottom track here, this video 1 track, is nothing but the background video. So this will be kind of our background template. These are all different clips. I had to record all of these clips and strip the audio off of them. So we just want the video from these. The different clips here that you can see are the actual biomes or caves or whatnot that were featured in the game. So you can see we've got jungle here. We've got pardon the little blips of sound there. That's just the game trying to recenter itself. Not the game, but the audio track trying to recenter itself. But you can see that there are little clips here and there with a slight blur effect applied to them just to to kind of bring the focus forward. I wanted there to be something in the background here, but I didn't want it to be so detailed that it took away from Q's art and the actual text in front of it here. So that's the reason why that's all blurred in the background. And the same thing up here with this clip, which for those of you that might be historians, might know my own history in this particular recorded round. You might be wondering, well, that clip looks a little familiar. Where's it from? You can see down here the clip is from WMC 14, episode 6. And if we fast forward here, you might notice a certain skin. Yes, this is the fabled Iron Man fight from season 14 between Berg and myself that I won. Barely. But it was a good fight, and it was a favorite moment of mine. I kind of wanted to have some little bit of combat in the background here at the start, and so what I did was to kind of give it a little bit of a more of a faded background kind of look. I slowed it down a little bit. Obviously, it's a very short clip for the fight. You can see it's slowed down to 33%. I desaturated it and put a blur effect over it so that it's in the background. You can see it. You can see that there's sword swinging going on, but it looks a little bit more ambiguous as to who's actually fighting. It could be anybody. So, if I could, let me mute that. Oh, that's just. I'm gonna disable the clip here real quick. Just disable it so that we get that audio buzz out of the way, because I'm going to do a little bit of fast forwarding here. So, one of the things you notice probably is the different little bits and bobs here. So just for this first part, this is a single transparent PNG that just says our ultra hardcore presents, and that just kind of fades in like so. A little choppy because I'm recording, so it's gonna be a little bit more choppy than normal, but that fades in here. It's not gonna look as smooth. And then as we're doing that, I've got this right here is the heart animation that you see here. The heart and the WMC 22 animation is all of these layers. So layers 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 is actually empty. I could probably move that 9 down to 8. I don't know why I have that. It's not efficient. But the subtitle is down here on track number. Actually, I could move all of these down if I wanted to. But down here, this is track number 2. It's got the actual subtitle for the season. So what happens here is that we just have a heart kind of popping in from the background. It zooms in. It gets big enough so that it blocks out you can see here the WMC font and the number, and then this is actually the bars that are on either side of the WMC font. So the way this is all set up is so this gets big enough, and then you have the number and the WMC logo slide in, the bars slide out, and the when Miners Commute fades in. So let's take a little bit closer look here, and you'll get an idea of how much goes into this. You can take a look here, and this is all. The heart is just, this part right here is nothing really more complex than just, and see if I can do this here without this crashing, just the motion effect here. So it just gets big and then it gets small. That's all that is. The fonts and the numbers are different. If you take a look here, you see this says number part instead of number. So number is the actual full number logo. This number part, what that is if I can zoom in even closer here, each of these little bits is an individual part of the number, where I've taken slices off of the 22 there, and it's going to be even more evident here when you get over to the bars, the bar section, because each of these is an individual frame that is put together to create the animation effect of the bars appearing out of thin air. So they just kind of appear like that. And that's all. If you take a look here at the assets, there's that bars 1, 2, 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So all of those are individual assets that I guess you call them individual little slides that each take up 1 frame apiece. So you get the visual representation of the bars actually sliding into place, even though there's no wizardry behind that. It's just all hand animation. And the same thing up here with if you notice here in the intro, you probably notice that the heart kind of pulses a little bit here. So you probably saw the heartbeat, like it's pulsing right there. All that is, again, is just a little heart animation attached to a motion effect. And so it gets let's see here if I can do position motion scale, I think is what I want. So it gets really, really big, and then it pulses back down, and it gets really, really big again, and it pulses back down. And then this right here, the white part, is just a simple white PNG background I have that I use as a transition because Adobe Premiere Elements transitions are not the best. So I have to kind of make my own and make it work. So that way you get a nice solid fade in, extended, and a very quick fade out to get to the player names. So let's talk about the player names and the player, I guess you call them screens here. So each of them, like I mentioned, has a different background. So you can see I've just kind of tried to divvy it up a little bit here. And everyone's got different ones. With the players, I tried to mix it up where they appeared in the intro so that we didn't have necessarily a whole bunch of people who were older all at the front and a whole bunch of people who were newer all at the back. So that's why Pizza and Mop are back here with Key and Brick. Fairy's back here, C-Mat's back here, then we got Mischievous, Shadow, Lego, Silverteeth, Break. It's kind of all broken up a little bit, so I thought about that, and I also thought about the fact that certain players haven't appeared at the fronts of intros, and certain players haven't appeared at the backs of intros for a while. Like Dibs, I don't think has ever been the... Actually, I take that back. He was the first player in Season 7, but I don't think he's been the first player revealed in an intro since then. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'd be happily okay to be wrong on that. I know Kowalski never really gets up front very much either, so I kind of tried to pick names and whatnot that were familiar, that were familiar to players, but not necessarily, used to being in that same position every time. Anyways, you can also see here that I've got the player names, the country that they're from, the seasons they played, wins, kills, so some basic stats. And then this down here kind of evolved this little bit of like a fact. Evolved from actually being a serious fact to being a sarcastic and stupid, silly kind of fact. So there was originally a lot more serious ones that I did. I tried to throw in little memes here and there. So for example, Brick, periodic table season 1 hydrogen, he actually did a meme where he came up with if you like a tweet he did, he came up with some terrible UHC round names, and that was one of them, and that's the one I liked the most. So I know Brick appreciated that, but Mop obviously noted carb aficionado. Let's see, there's a couple of interesting things like Fairyjuice. This is an actual German word. It means like youth singing competition or something like that, and obviously karaoke champion, playing off the fact that Fairy likes to sing at his outros at the end of his episodes, and he likes to sing in general. So that was one of them. And sometimes they were just ridiculous, like CMAT like has to play this season as part of his parole terms. CMAT's never been in trouble like that. Obviously Zarky, I had to do 810 negative 400 because that's totally Zarky. So that's kind of where that came from. Now for the names themselves, if you took a look at some of my took a look closely at some of the earlier videos I showed you, the names just scrolled in from the sides, but I didn't want that. I wanted the names to, we'll just do Dibs here because he's the first one. I wanted the names to appear from behind Q's art and slide into place. Like if you take a look over here on the side, there's a little bit of I don't even know if my mouse cursor is showing up. I think it is. But if you take a look over here on the side, there's this open space over here, and I didn't want the text to be visible from the, I guess you could say, from the left side of the player art. So what I had to do was, you can see it down here if we zoom and enhance, each of these is like the bars like that I did for the intro section. Each of those is an individual, and I'll see if I can pull up Dibs here. Each of these is an individual, see right here, like Sid's, like Sid name 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I clicked on those, you'd be able to see them. In fact, why don't we go over to Sid's? Maybe we can see that. He's not too far. Yeah. Oh. Nope. No, now we went too far. So Sid is right before me. Okay, nope. Come on. Come on, please. Okay, there we go. Yeah. My mouse is being stupid. So you can see here we got Sid name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Sid name full, which is the actual full name appearing from behind his head there. So what each of these is a little bit of a slice of this Sid name PNG, and those are just all kind of put together based on which ones would appear and give the effect that I desired. So I had to actually, the way I had to do this was I had to use the full name PNG and then see what appeared on the left side of the art, and then go in and make the changes to make that appear the way I wanted it to. And it's probably something that, because of how fast it was, I assume most people didn't even see that when I was in the intro. So like, for example, there's my name, and there's Flues. You can see the name just pops out from behind him. And then same with Steve. And the longer ones, the longer names like Steve, I had to do like 10 different things because his name was so long. His art is so thin around the neck area there. So that one took a lot of work to get that to be just right. And these little segments here are only 2 seconds long. So, you know, when you got someone like Zarky is fairly easy to do because his name is so short. But Steve's, you know, his name is longer, so I have to make more frames to do that. And it's a fairly intensive process, even though I made these as each of these player things as a module so that I could quickly swap in and swap out the information. I would just have to make one, and I could copy it 20 times, and then when I was done, I would just have to swap in and out to make that really easy. I had to spend a lot of time going through and just animating each of these to get them to be, you know, smooth. And I spent a lot more time checking the animations. I know with some of my past intros I've had little hiccups here and there where I've messed something up and I haven't caught it until afterward. So this time I took a lot more time on the quality control end and made sure that absolutely sure that everything looked exactly how I wanted it to. But there were a couple problems, and in particular, some of the art that was a little bit wider than it was thinner, like break Mischievous, and Fairy in particular. We'll get to those three. There had some special things I had to do for that. So Break, you can see here that I had to flip the stats around because otherwise his art, I think Mischievous was the same way. His art did at one point clip into, like the handle there clips into the sea and country, as well as I had to move him a little bit to get the B and Break to not be clipped. I think Mischievous, yeah, he had the same issue, his elbow there, very close to the M. But Fairy was an interesting case study. He was probably the hardest one I had to do. And that is because if you've seen Fairy's new art, his old art was fine. Fairy's new art is fairly wide and was pretty hard to get done. So he's got a special little bit of help for his. So we'll go right here. We'll zoom in a little bit. You can see he's got two backdrops here. And if you take a look real closely, something's missing. I can't really see it too well on the backdrop here, but something's missing down here. It's in this backdrop too, and the name is sandwiched in between. And again, like for others, for Fairy, I had to move his because it was a redstone. I had to move his stats to the top layer. But I had the problem that Fairy's art, his left hand was clipping through his name, and I would have had to move his name entirely or move his art somewhere that would have made him seem either completely off from everyone else, kind of positionally, or his name would have been off, and I wasn't happy with that. So what I did, and you can probably see it here, is I do have his name popping out from behind him, but it actually passes in front of his hand, because his backdrop 2 is actually, if I can disable it real quick, it's actually the top of his hand. So I had to cut off the top of his hand in the art, not in real life. Oh, come on. Don't blurry on me. I had to cut off the top of his hand and put that on a layer that went on the back, and then put the name as the second layer, and then the rest of the art as the third layer, because otherwise it doesn't come out from behind him. His name doesn't slide out from behind him like that. It slides out from in front of him. So in order to properly put everything together, I had to spend a little bit of extra time on Fairies. But the end result, I think, turned out pretty well. I was very happy with how that came out in the end. Everything looked really good when I rendered it out. And, oh, I guess I did accidentally split it there. So that's clips there. You can see everybody else's name kind of slides out. And then the last one here, the end card, is just the ending here with all the info is just a simple another slide job here. Fairy hosted, Fairy organizing, Tommy hosting, myself with the intro, and then the music for those of you who are interested in the song. It's a really nice song from the fine folks at No Copyright Sounds. They do some good work, and I'll probably be using a lot more of their stuff in the future. And the actual footage here at the end was a little hat tip. It was from the episode 0 that I put together, so it's from the actual intro. So the intro has actual intro in it. I'm not sure that's ever happened with WMC before. I'm not sure we've ever... No, we have. Again, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Way back in the day, like episode 4, episode 5 kind of deal, when they were when Harlan and Pizza and Zelsi were all making the intros. They used to use the intro stuff as actual background. So I take that back. It's been a while since I've seen anyone actually do that, but it's a nice little Easter egg. And there's Berg again with Kowalski, Shadow Lego, Break, Silver Teeth, Fairies floating in the background there. So all of this stuff, probably all told, putting everything together took me, I would say, close to close to 2 weeks. I had a hard deadline that I was going up against in the form of a vacation that I was going on, and we had to get it. I had to get it done in time for people to use, obviously, in their renders, and I had to go out of town, so I kind of was a little bit more pressed for time than I wanted to. But I think having the what would I say, the what do they call it, the what is the word I used? I can't remember what the word I used was, but having the different components here, having them all essentially swappable, made this probably in the end is the least stressful intro that I've ever done. Once you get everything together, it's fairly easy to put everything together from start to finish, and you get a product that looks pretty good, and I'm very happy with. And it's probably the first time that I can say this that I've done an intro that's been better in the season 12 one than I did, which was my favorite for a very long time. I know a lot of people like the season 10 one for some reason. I don't know why that's the case. But long story short, that's kind of a look at what goes into an intro. It's a lot of work. It's certainly not something that everyone can do really well. And I'm lucky that I have a full-time job where I've had to do a lot of video work, and I've had to teach myself a lot of the hand animation stuff and graphic design and whatnot. Oh, I should mention too the intro. You probably saw WMC 21. I changed the logo I used for that. We still don't have an official logo. I'm kind of hoping that this style is the one that we use. I simplified everything. I cleaned it up. I got rid of the swords, all of the extra hearts. So it's just name, UHC heart, number in very big font, and then name of the season down here. So very simple, very clean. That was what I was going for. I was going for a simple, clean Utada Hikaru style intro. God, I just dated myself with that, didn't I? Most of you young kids don't even know what I'm talking about. Look it up, Kingdom Hearts, kids. But yeah, that's kind of a look at the WMC 22 intro. I won't be doing one for a couple seasons just because we have a rotation, and if I could speak properly, and Fairy likes to kind of rotate people in and out to give everyone a fair shot. There's been some talk already about me and some other people maybe working on WMC 25 intro together. We'll see. If I do that, I probably will do another video where we talk about that one, because that's going to be a big project. But that's about it. So if you ever wonder what goes into a 51-second intro here, it's a lot of work, especially for an FFA season where you don't have one teams of four, like 5 teams of 4. It's one player and there's 20 of them, so it's a lot more work and a lot longer intro. But thanks for hanging out and watching. I'm gonna stop rambling now so you get on with your day, but I will catch you soon. Maybe we'll do some more of these with some other intros and stuff that I've done. Until then, take care. See ya.